Throughout human history, few forces have shaped our lives as profoundly as disease. While wars and disasters capture headlines, it is often invisible pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and parasites that leave the deepest scars. These microscopic killers have decimated populations, collapsed empires, and altered the course of civilization. This is the story of 10 of the deadliest diseases ever known to mankind. Number 10. Ebola. First identified in 1976 near the Ebola River in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ebola is one of the most feared diseases in modern memory. With a fatality rate that can reach up to 90%, Ebola does not spread easily, but when it does, it's horrifying. It begins with fever, weakness, and muscle pain. But within days, the virus ravages the body, causing internal and external bleeding, organ failure, and death. Outbreaks are often sudden, violent, and lethal, particularly in parts of Africa with limited medical infrastructure. The 2014-2016 West African outbreak killed more than 11,000 people. More terrifying than the numbers, however, is the speed and brutality of the virus. Entire villages were wiped out, and medical workers struggled to contain the spread while wearing full-body protective suits in searing heat. What makes Ebola particularly horrifying is not just its lethality, but the fear it instills. Victims die isolated, bleeding, and often buried without ceremony. Communities are shattered. In every way, Ebola is a disease of fear, death, and devastation. Number 9. Measles. Often dismissed as a common childhood illness, measles is anything but harmless. Before the widespread use of vaccines, measles killed millions of people, especially children. At its peak, it was responsible for nearly 2.6 million deaths every year. Caused by a virus, measles spreads through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes. It's extraordinarily contagious, one of the most infectious diseases known. In communities without immunity, a single case can explode into hundreds within days. The symptoms begin with high fever, cough, and a characteristic rash. But the real danger lies in complications, pneumonia, encephalitis, and long-term immune suppression. Even in the 21st century, measles kills more than 100,000 people annually, mostly in areas with low vaccination rates. Measles is a reminder that even diseases we think we've conquered can come back, and when they do, they strike the vulnerable first. Number 8. COVID-19. In late 2019, a previously unknown virus emerged in Wuhan, China. Within months, SARS-CoV-2, the virus responsible for COVID-19, had spread across the globe, triggering the first global pandemic of the 21st century. With over 7 million confirmed deaths as of 2023, though the real number is likely much higher, COVID-19 brought the world to a standstill. Economies collapsed, hospitals were overwhelmed, cities locked down. Families said goodbye to loved ones over phone calls and video chats. What made COVID-19 particularly deadly was its combination of factors. It was airborne, it could be spread by people without symptoms, and it disproportionately affected the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. The virus evolved rapidly, with new variants emerging in waves. The global response was unprecedented. Lockdowns, vaccine rollouts, and massive scientific collaboration. And yet, despite all this, the virus lingers, and the psychological scars remain. COVID-19 showed us just how vulnerable modern civilization is to a microscopic threat. Number 7. Cholera. Few diseases kill as quickly as cholera. Caused by the bacterium Vibrio cholerae, cholera spreads through contaminated water and food, especially in areas with poor sanitation. Once infected, a person can die within hours from extreme dehydration due to uncontrollable diarrhea. Cholera has sparked multiple global pandemics since the early 19th century, killing millions. It thrives in overcrowded cities, refugee camps, and disaster zones, anywhere infrastructure collapses. Symptoms are dramatic and terrifying. Sudden vomiting, profuse watery diarrhea, rapid fluid loss, and death if untreated. Without access to clean water and rehydration therapy, mortality rates can exceed 50%. Even today, cholera outbreaks continue to strike parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. The disease may be ancient, but it remains a brutal killer in the modern world. Number 6. Tuberculosis, TB. Tuberculosis is one of the oldest known diseases, with evidence found in Egyptian mummies more than 4,000 years old. Yet despite its ancient origins, TB continues to kill over 1.5 million people each year. Caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium tuberculosis, TB primarily affects the lungs but can spread to other parts of the body. It's an airborne disease, transmitted when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or even speaks. What makes TB especially dangerous is its persistence. It can lie dormant for years in the body before becoming active. And now, with the rise of multi-drug-resistant TB strains, treatment is becoming increasingly difficult and expensive. TB is a disease of poverty, overcrowding, and neglect. It thrives in prisons, slums, and among the marginalized. Despite decades of public health efforts, it remains one of the top infectious killers on the planet. Number 5. Malaria. Every year, over 600,000 people, mostly children in sub-Saharan Africa, die from malaria. Caused by parasites transmitted through the bites of infected mosquitoes, malaria is ancient, relentless, and devastating. The symptoms are cyclical and cruel: fever, chills, vomiting, and severe fatigue. In severe cases, malaria can cause seizures, coma, and death. Repeated infections weaken children and leave them vulnerable to other diseases. Despite being preventable and treatable, malaria continues to flourish in tropical regions. Mosquito nets, insecticides, and anti-malarial drugs help, but access remains uneven. Malaria isn't just a disease, it's a barrier to development. It keeps children out of school, drains family resources, and cripples economies. And while progress has been made, the parasite is evolving resistance to medications and insecticides. Malaria has been with us for millennia, and it's not going away anytime soon. Number 4. HIV/AIDS. Since it was first identified in the early 1980s, HIV/AIDS has killed more than 40 million people. At its peak, the disease was a global death sentence, destroying lives, communities, and families. HIV attacks the body's immune system, weakening it until it can no longer fight off infections. Without treatment, it progresses to AIDS, a stage marked by life-threatening illnesses, cancers, and death. In the 1990s and early 2000s, entire generations in parts of Africa were decimated. Orphans were left behind by the millions. Stigma and misinformation only fueled the spread. Today, antiretroviral therapy allows many people with HIV to live long, healthy lives. But access is not universal, and in some regions, the virus continues to spread. HIV/AIDS reshaped how the world viewed sexuality, public health, and compassion. It forced global collaboration and still challenges us to this day. Number 3. Spanish flu. In 1918, as World War I drew to a close, a new enemy emerged: a deadly strain of influenza. The Spanish flu infected an estimated 500 million people, 1/3 of the world's population, and killed at least 50 million in just 2 years. Unlike most flu viruses, this strain struck young, healthy adults the hardest. Hospitals were overwhelmed, bodies piled up in the streets, and entire towns were left without doctors or nurses. The virus moved fast, spreading with troops and travelers. In some communities, it wiped out entire families in days. The Spanish flu wasn't just a medical catastrophe, it was a social one. Schools, churches, and businesses shut down. In some cities, gravediggers couldn't keep up. It was a reminder that even in the modern age, a simple virus could bring the world to its knees. Number 2. Smallpox. Smallpox was a nightmare for humanity. For centuries, it ravaged continents, killed kings, and disfigured survivors with permanent scars. Caused by the variola virus, smallpox killed over 300 million people in the 20th century alone. The symptoms were brutal: high fever, body pain, and a blistering rash that covered the entire body. In many cases, the skin would peel away. Survivors were often left blind or permanently scarred. Smallpox had a mortality rate of about 30%, but in some outbreaks, it was even higher. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor, smallpox struck indiscriminately. In 1980, after a massive global vaccination campaign, smallpox became the first disease ever eradicated. It was a monumental achievement. But the memory of smallpox lingers, a reminder of what viruses can do when left unchecked. Number 1. The Black Death, bubonic plague. No disease in history has matched the sheer terror and destruction of the Black Death. Between 1347 and 1351, the bubonic plague swept through Europe, Asia, and North Africa, killing an estimated 75 to 200 million people. Carried by fleas on rats, the plague spread like wildfire through towns and cities. Victims developed painful swellings called buboes, followed by fever, vomiting, and eventually death, often within days. Entire villages vanished, cities were emptied, trade routes collapsed, mass graves filled the countryside. The social and economic fabric of Europe unraveled. Doctors wore terrifying bird-like masks filled with herbs, believing the disease spread through bad air. But nothing worked. The plague reshaped history, contributing to the fall of feudalism and altering the path of European civilization. The Black Death is not just the deadliest disease in history. It's a symbol of humanity's vulnerability to nature's smallest creatures. Diseases don't just kill people. They kill dreams, destroy economies, end empires, and rewrite history. From the darkness of the medieval plague to the sterile hospital wards of today, one truth remains. The deadliest threats are often the ones we cannot see. If you found these facts shocking, just wait for what's coming next. We drop new, mind-blowing videos every single day, from history's darkest moments to the world's most unbelievable truths. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next shock might be your favorite one yet.